let's be perfectly clear about what's upsetting me. Adonis Paul made a fundraiser to send men to piss on my handicapped brother's grave while my mother was in the hospital dying. Okay? While my mother was in the hospital dying, this man was raising money to desecrate her son's grave. While the woman was in a hospital suffering and fighting to live, a man was sending people to piss on her child. Now he says, well, that was just a joke. I never intended to do that. I just needed money. And people paid for that. Then my mother passed away in February of this year. Just after she passed away, less than a month after my mother died, my Aunt Kathy, my mother's sister, let's be as clear as possible on how all of these people are related. Kathy is my mother's blood sister, a woman who was raised with my mother as children. They were sisters. Just less than a month after Kathy's sister died, Kathy traveled to Florida and left apple juice on her sister's son's grave. Apple juice that she was fully aware was there as synthetic urine for a man who had raised thousands of dollars to desecrate that boy's grave while his mother was dying. After the boy's mother died, his own family members traveled to Florida to complete the desecration of that handicapped boy's grave. Just weeks after his mother died, with his mother possibly buried right next to him. Imagine being a heartless enough human being that while a woman is dying in the hospital, you're raising money to hurt her son who's already dead. And then you're going to send her sister to do your bidding for you. Because you're not man enough to go and do it yourself. You had to send a defenseless, weak, or older woman who you've convinced is perfectly okay to do this. To desecrate my little brother's grave. Just weeks after his mother died. Just because you raised the money to do it while she was dying. And God forbid Adonis Paul look like a liar. The woman was dying in the hospital while he was raising money to desecrate her son's grave. But then because he couldn't look like a liar, he had to use that money. He sent somebody to desecrate that grave for him just after my mother, that little boy's mother, died. He literally convinced the sister of the woman who birthed that disabled child to go to Florida and be disrespectful to his grave. I don't know how any of you are okay with that, but I will never be. And obviously the rest of my family is fine with it. You know, my sisters, they defend Kathy. Everybody stands behind and defends Kathy. She literally desecrated my handicapped brother's grave on behalf of a cyber terrorist. She chose to do it right after my mother died. And I will never be okay with it. Not ever. I'm not okay with the fact that she denies his existence in life and saying, well, he's just a barbecue restaurant. Bubba was never a person. Bubba never mattered. He was never anything. He couldn't do anything for anybody, so he didn't exist in Kathy's perfect little world of perfection. But he existed to me. He existed to me. His smile is still real in my head. His smells. His sounds. That human being that the rest of this family has decided is not worthy of being respected even after death was a real person to me. And if Kathy had ever gotten to know him, he would have been a real person to her, but she didn't, and that's what made it okay for her to disrespect him. To disrespect him on behalf of her new friend, Adonis Paul. Ask me again why I'm upset. Why I will never be okay with this.